They are always happy to get it. Okay, let's get in. Good girls. Stay. Well, you guys are gonna have to move. I gotta get this gate open. Just look at that number 7 calf. He is an absolute tank. He was the heaviest when I weighed them all in the spring. He was over 300 pounds already, and he has continued that trend up to this point. And what I really like about tagging all the calves at birth and identifying who the mother is, and obviously we know who the father is, but now I know where those genetics came from. So I know that cow 42 is definitely one to hang on to. And I wasn't planning to do a bunch of calf updates right now, but here getting a drink at the water trough is number 17. This is the calf that we had to assist with nursing for like 2 or 3 weeks when he was newborn. He was always a larger framed calf, but because he was shorted so much at birth, he was always skinny. But you can see that he is finally caught up. He's starting to grow into that frame and look pretty good. He's super mellow, probably because we handled him so much when he was young, but he's turning out to be a pretty good looking steer. It's already hot this morning, and I'm sure it's only getting hotter, so we better get going with what we got to do today. I think I've got a job of every variety today. I'm not sure how far we're going to get, what all we're going to get done, but we better get started. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. Well, I guess while I'm right here, I ought to recharge the back rubber. It's been over a week, I think, since I've done that, so probably not a bad idea. We'll let her walk through before we start spraying it. I guess we'll let them walk through. The last video, some people were asking about what this is, and what it is, it's called a back rubber. You spray it down with oil and insecticide, and it just absorbs all that. And then when the cattle walk under it, like you saw, it rubs on their back and gives them a little application of insecticide, which in turn kills the flies. It's basically the same premise as the cow sprayer. As they walk through, they get an application of fly spray. I think the cow sprayer works better. You get better coverage, but the back rubbers are so much cheaper and simpler that they're easier to just put them up in a bunch of places, whereas the cow sprayer, you kind of put it up and leave it. In fact, a corral job for the future that I've been thinking would be really handy for several reasons would be to extend this fence all the way over to that pipe fence, and then have like a big double gate here that was like, I don't know, maybe 30 feet wide, so it gives a plenty big enough opening for the cows to feel comfortable walking through. But what I could do is with this gateway incorporate the cow sprayer, so that whether they were coming out of the gate from the front field, the middle field, or the little field, if they want to go up and get water, they're going to be going through the cow sprayer. So then it would serve all 3 of these pastures, which would be nice. But what would also be nice is that if I had things set up this way, when I'm gathering cattle up here in the big corral to get them down into the working corral, it would just make it easier for me, because once I get them in this corner here, I could close my 2 big gates, and then I've got them trapped in the corner. Once they're in here, I can get over here and push them up in there, and that would make life a lot easier. Back here at the shop now, and I've got a couple of things that I need to do here, a couple of things I need to put on the trailer to take back over to the ranch a little bit later. But before I get going on that stuff, there's something that my wife asked me to do, so we're gonna do that first. As you can see, the automatic water out here is leaking pretty bad and making a mess. So we're gonna take this apart, see if we can clean it out and fix it to where it doesn't leak anymore. Oh man. So I think there's 2 screws here. The way these work is pretty simple. There's just a float valve here under this cover so they can't mess with it too much. It seems like it seals. It seems to be working good. So I don't think our problem here is the float as much as it is the hose going into the float has a pretty bad leak, and I think that's where the whole issue is. I think I got this thing to where it's not leaking anymore. It ended up being a pretty simple fix. The hose was just loose. And I think what that is from dumping the water out. Like when she cleans the water dish out, the hose probably just worked itself loose. Let's get this moved back in the shade for him. We'll call it done. One thing I need to do today is get the chicken plucker loaded up on the trailer. I've got a stainless steel table and a couple of other things that I need for butchering chickens. I want to get that all moved over to the ranch so that it's all ready to go, and then in a couple days I think I'm going to have time to finally get started on that. But because I am going to the ranch with the trailer, it just makes sense to go ahead and fabricate another piece for the corral project that needs to move down there. And that's what we're going to do right now. I figured that I do enough pipe work that I could spring for a couple of these pipe stands. These ought to be nice because the height is adjustable, so using them in conjunction with these stands that I made, I think is going to kind of help simplify things and keep me from working on my knees so much. I think I might need a rack for my steel. Piling it up on the ground just doesn't seem to be working anymore. What we're making today is a brace for that gate frame. So this is a super simple little piece. It shouldn't take very long, right? So this needs to be cut off at 5 feet. It'll go in the ground, and then it'll have a little short stub that goes back into the gate frame. And my goal is to make this the same height as the table that will eventually be there. And then that way this shouldn't be in the way because it'll kind of fit right in with the table. You won't be tripping over it or bumping into it. At least that's the plan. I was looking around the shop for another little scrap piece to make our 2-foot leg off of this pipe, and then I looked at the drop piece that I just cut off, and guess what? It's just a hair over 2 feet, so it's gonna work perfect. Before we weld this joint together, I wanna cut the notch on this because it's just gonna be a lot easier while it's, you know, a little piece. These notch templates, I have mixed feelings about. I don't really know a better way to do this, but these never seem to come out quite right. There's typically a lot of grinding involved to get things to fit up just right. So, I don't know, take it for what it is. We got a pretty simple piece here, but it is a critical piece. And I've got, you know, obviously the notch is over here. That's gonna fit up to the gate frame. And then the miter cut here, I wanted to do a miter cut so that I didn't have any open pipe that would create a good place for wasps to make a nest. So I'm really trying to keep that in mind as I build this stuff so that I can maybe avoid some problems down the road. If I measured everything right, this should come out of the ground a little bit above waist level, and that'll be the same height that the table is at. So yeah, there's not much else to say about it. I think it's cooled off enough now we can set it on the trailer, and then I gotta grab the chicken plucker and a few other things. We can head down to the ranch. This is not very big, but I bet it's heavy. Well, it's not terrible. Well, that should be about everything except for knives and stuff like that, but that's all the big equipment that I need over here. And one more thing that I wanted to do this year that I haven't done before is add a little filter strainer type thing on the hose. I've noticed the water that comes out of this faucet is not always crystal clear. There's little like green algae kind of stuff in the pipes, I think. And normally that doesn't really bother me too much, but just because of the fact that I'll be using this water to wash birds and things like that, I would like it to be clean. You can see all the dark chunks in there. That's what we're trying to get rid of. So let's hook the filter up and see if we do. There. Always got to be careful with plastic threads. You gum them up a little bit and that's the end of them. Well, there you go. Clean as a whistle now. Go ahead, Belly, drink up. That's good stuff. Well, good. That's working. I'll have to get a hose down here and see if that'll hold pressure without leaking, but I think it will. So anyway, we'll check that off the list. Just do that. We're pretty good right here. We're level on top, we're plumb on this side, and we're in line with the string that is lining us up with this post on the other side of the chute. The reason this matters, other than just being visually pleasing, is that it guarantees that when the gate swings open this way, that this brace acts as a gate catch as well, and it's going to catch the gate in the right spot so that it's not banging into the chute, but it's getting over as far towards the chute as it can. So I spent so much time getting this right where I want it. What I would like to do now is to trade one of these tie straps out and use it over there to hold that brace up against the gate frame. This, I should be able to just hang with one strap right in the middle and get it where I want it. And I wanted to move this anyway, so I can get the gate set exactly where I would like it, and then I can get the brace held into place, all with the idea of that when I bring the welder over here, things are just ready to weld and I'm not having to fit stuff up then. That's probably a little bit closer to where it's actually going to end up being, although it does seem honestly a little bit low now. So I'll play with this a little bit more, but I got the strap that I need, so let's see if we can secure this other piece. pretty darn good right there. So I think I'll go ahead and put a bag of concrete in here, the last bag that I have over here, and that should more or less hold this in place. I'll leave the strap on there, but I won't have to worry about leveling this up again when I add the rest of the concrete. Not only is this frame brace also a gate stop and also the side of our table, but it also provides a lot of much needed structure to this gate frame. So while it might just be a simple little piece, it plays many roles. I'm really happy with the height. I think this is going to be perfect for a table, for setting like my ice chest, syringes, all the stuff that I have with me while I'm working cows. This is going to be a huge upgrade. It's pasture moving day, and I see the cattle are heading down this way. If I could get in front of them and get that wire open, it'll just make this a lot easier. Looks like old number 26 is the only one that walked past the reel, but she didn't get too far, so this will work fine. I think we're gonna call this one here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.